We have the privilege to be with our county commissioner, Melissa Dennis. I am in District 1, so you are my county commissioner,
Good,
of course.
good.
And we want to just get to know you a little bit better, Melissa, but this year has been an interesting year, and I think it's been pretty typical. It's a good time to be able to give examples of what a county commissioner and why you are so important, what you do and why you're so important. We've had tremendous amount of natural type disasters going on.
Yes.
And one of your primary roles is infrastructure around the county outside of city limits. Can you describe maybe some of the flooding that's going on and the problems that you've had to face and how you address the responsibilities that you have?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And yes, we've had record floods. I can't give you the amounts, for factual purposes, but we have had record floods. So, and it's happened across the state. We're not the only ones affected, but in my mind and in my opinion, we are the only ones affected because this is who we are. This is us. So we have had so much rain. We've had bridges washed out. We've had roads washed out. Bridges that wouldn't have washed out before have been washing out. Mm-hmm. And it's with District 1, 2, and 3. So we are trying our hardest right now to keep up. And when I say keep up, there are roads that need to be re-rocked. At the same time, I have a major bridge over the North Canadian River shut down. So we're trying to get the process going of opening that back up, which entails fixing the abutment to the bridge, which is not an easy fix. I have the river at another location trying to take out one of my major collector roads. Therefore, that's totally the Corps of Engineer. So you have to go and talk to the Corps of Engineer, get them to come and tell you what you can and can't do, which is a lot of red tape, obviously, understandably, but it's still just part of the process. Mm-hmm. So even though they are major collector roads when I say major collector, they are actually on the state's inventory that we get money for, which is how some of our funding works. The smaller roads, the county, good old county roads that we don't get any funding for, they still have to take priority just as much as your major collectors. And that's what we are doing. We have assessed where our major and our minor areas are that need fixing, how many people live there, safety reasons. Can an ambulance get there right now if we kind of hold off and go to this road first? So there's just a protocol that we go through, prioritizing what we have. But about the time we get something fixed, this rain has come back and now we have another area. So we can't get caught up, I guess, for lack of better words. We can't get caught up right now. But we're trying. All 3 districts we're working to death trying to get everything caught up.
Well, and the reason I bring that up is because that's pretty typical in the sense that we get natural disasters. Not long ago, we had a tornado whip through the county. We've had that happen on numerous occasions.
Yes.
We've had numerous flooding. It seems like as a commissioner, it's kind of like a homeowner. As soon as you think everything's good, something else is going to break.
Yes.
Or something else is going to hit.
Yes.
And you're in control of those budgets. So there are some things that you have to prioritize in your budget. Talk to us about that in the sense of not everything can go to fix this one bridge or not everything can go to do certain items. What are the priorities within the county's budget that you oversee?
In the county's budget, the entire county's budget, you've got to take care of each individual office, but you also have major...
So what does that mean? When you say we have to take care of each individual office, what offices are you over?
The sheriffs, when we say over...
budgeting.
Just budgeting. They send once a year, and it's actually now, this time of year, they send us their request, the sheriff, the county clerk, the court clerk, the treasurer, the assessor, the election board, and the district attorney. Okay. They send us their request of what their budgets are. Which is a called an estimate of needs. It's called an estimate of needs. So we go in there and we look at their estimate of needs. They explain to us what they're asking for and why. And basically it's kind of on a standstill until we get our budget numbers back from the state. And that's usually around August,
Okay.
and then we know our numbers. Now we have a number that we say this is our budget. And there's a lot of different factors that go into that number. Then we determine what were our estimate of needs. We add up everything that each office asked for. Is this number bigger than the number we have? And if so, okay, now we've got a cut. That's where you hear cut. Our budget was cut. Our budget was cut. Well, we've never, since I've been here, cut someone's budget just to be cutting it. If we've cut anyone's budget, it's strictly because the numbers don't
Didn't
match.
add up.
And normally in this county, and I can pat all of us on the back. When I say all of us, I'm talking about all the elected officials. We all work so well together. We're not a budget board county, which means all the elected officials sit at the table and approve the budget. We're not in a budget board county.
Okay.
We are an excise board county.
Okay.
But we still sit around the table with all the elected officials and we say, here's what we have. What can we cut? And so that's how, when this number's smaller than this one, something's got to give.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, they all have their numbers, but the county commissioners are in charge of what they call the general government budget, which pays for everybody's utilities. It pays for all of the insurance. So there's more needs and requests that will come out of the general government budget than the others.
So would it be fair to say that you're an executive commission? The commissioners are the executives of the budget. And I want to clarify, because I know that this is something very important to everybody. That does not mean you run these different offices.
No.
They all run independently. But you're like the beginning of the funnel that all the numbers have to come through. And then you, as an executive, have to work it all out with all of the different heads of their departments so that it all works.
Absolutely.
Can you explain that a little bit to us?
Well, and that's just kind of what I was explaining. We start this time of year. They have their request.
Yeah.
No, we are not over what they do with their money. We don't tell them how to spend their money. All we ask for is your estimate of needs. This is what you're asking for. This is why I'm asking for this. And then when the budget comes, we figure out who can cut. Now, once your budget is awarded to you, and that's usually the end of August, 1st of September, it's kind of later. Once your budget is awarded to you, then you spend your money within your needs, is whatever you
And
need
those
to.
are the formulas from the state that allocate each of the counties the money for that year, for that fiscal year. Is that correct? When you say once the money hits, once the numbers hit, those numbers are coming from the state. Is that correct?
There's several ways it comes. It comes from our net assessed values.
Okay.
The assessor is a very major player in our county, in any county, but the the assessor is a major player in the budget.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because our budget is based on our net assessed values of the property owners.
Okay.
So when there's more homes being built, she assesses more. The assessed value our net assessed values goes up. Therefore, our budget goes up.
And that's because taxpayers are paying a little bit more. The pot is getting bigger from the taxpayers.
The pot is getting bigger.
Gotcha.
At the same time, let's take COVID, for example. Now, this is just theoretically, but let's say COVID hits and people can't pay their taxes, or a disaster hits and people are being laid off and they can't pay their taxes. We will see that in our budget the next year, because our budget is based on our net assessed values and the amount of taxes that are actually being paid in.
Gotcha.
So,
Collection.
the collection of taxes. So if there's a disaster that hits or something happens where you cannot pay your taxes, and that happens a lot,
Sure.
then then it will affect your budget. And it also affects our budget. What we spend this year, we as all of the elected officials, let's say we all don't spend all of our money. It goes back into a pot, which is called the reserves. And I'm not going to say it's there for next year, but that number is based on what our numbers are for that next year.
Gotcha.
So it's there's a lot of different factors that go into your budget.
So budgeting and infrastructure, two of the main responsibilities of the commissioners. Something else kind of new for this year, which is kind of fun. You guys got more involved than ever before with the IFYR.
Absolutely.
And I know that's something that's dear to your heart. You like events, festivals, having fun. Melissa likes to have fun.
Like to have fun.
So tell us a little bit about that and how the IFYR is now structured and what the county government's role is now with our International Finals Youth Rodeo.
Well, and that is so exciting. We've always had a rodeo for years. It was, I think it came around in the early 80s. I could be wrong on some of those dates, but anyway, it was invented in Shawnee. Ken Etchison was a big player in that.
Yes.
Very well respected man. It was brought around, and we've had it all these years. So they were, it was under a trust, what you call a trust. It was kind of ran by a trust board who is dissolving. And so within that, the county has taken over the IFYR.
Okay.
And what we do is we contract that out with IPRA, the International Professional Rodeo Association. Why? Why wouldn't you? We don't.
Probably the top association in the world for rodeos.
And we don't know how to run a rodeo, honestly. I mean,
as a government.
Ken
Etchison knew how to run a rodeo.
Ken Etchison knew. But you get into stock contractors. There's so many little things that go into it. Why not contract with somebody who does this every single day?
Yeah.
And so that's what we have chosen to do, which is kind of what was being done in the past. You know, IPRA Association was running our IFYR, and so that's what we do. And by law, that is a professional contract, therefore you don't have to bid that out.
Gotcha.
So we've allowed IPRA, Dale Yerrigan is our contact, super great guy. He has done from beginning to finish of the rodeo. And then... Meaning Yes.
I recognize that name from so long ago.
Yeah. He's been with IPRA forever. And so we just let them do their job. We stay in our lane and we don't get in theirs. And that's... we're in charge of the little activities that'll be during the rodeo, and I think we're going to try to do a dance. We're going to try to do karaoke. We're going to try to do cornhole. Just so much fun things, which is what we're in charge of.
I love it when you. And there's even going to be a best dressed around the county, like the county workers, right? They're going to have a best dressed day or best dressed contest.
In the past, all the businesses got involved. Downtown businesses. It was kind of the Western. It was a cowboy theme all week long.
Yeah.
Everybody dressed Western, and if some of the kids came in with their back numbers, they got discounts at certain restaurants. We're just trying to bring the atmosphere back of what it used to be. We're wanting the downtown to get involved. We're wanting all the businesses to get involved. So we're trying to do a window painting theme. Those things haven't been ironed out, but we're trying to get everybody involved like it used to be.
Well, we're starting year one with that, but it's year after year now. What we're trying to do, what you're trying to do, it seems like, is gain momentum, that each and every year the rodeo continues to grow and capture the essence of our community and how much fun we all can have together. You like those things.
I love those things. I love those things.
Okay, now we're going to hop off of that to challenges. Melissa, moving forward, what are the greatest challenges that our county government and our county residents, what are we facing that maybe we don't know about or that we are going to have to address moving forward? What are our biggest challenges?
Biggest challenge, housing is a big challenge. Daycare is a big challenge. Anywhere you go in Shawnee that has a daycare, there's probably 6 to 8 months waiting list. Maybe some even longer than that. There's one or two that's even longer than that. And people can't find daycares. I don't really know the reason and for all of that. I know the state puts a lot of stipulation on daycares. Therefore, I think it's just more expensive to run one.
Yeah.
But housing is another one. We want our county to grow, and we want it to grow with, good teachers, good doctors, good lawyers. But when they come to our community to live, there's not a housing. We don't have the housing to put them in. So
that they would prefer.
They would prefer.
Yeah, we don't have the choice of housing that's necessary to stimulate.
So, that's a challenge that we're working on. And when I say we, I'm talking about the county and the city and a couple of nonprofits. And we're all putting our heads together to see what the solution is.
Sure.
I don't know that solution yet, but we're...
Another one that I've heard a lot about through the years is transportation.
Transportation is a big problem. It is a big problem. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who have jobs, but they don't have the access to get there and get back and forth. And we have talked about that in the past. There has been talk about that. It hasn't come back up in a while, but that is transportation
is another
one.
Okay, well, Melissa Dennis, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us that maybe I didn't bring up?
No, come to the rodeo.
That's right. Let's go to the rodeo, IFYR. And let's see what other great events, as I know that you guys have a big interest in the expo and what happens out there. And so bring us some more events, Miss Commissioner.
Well, we're working on it. We're working on it. We've got a lot of great ideas. It takes money. It takes money.
It does.
And when you have natural disasters, you've got to redirect some of that money, and it has to go to your priorities. And when you get involved in taking care of your community, some of the fun stuff has to be put on the back burner. And so this county's fortunate. We have what we call our use tax fund, and we are very, very fortunate that we can use that to do a lot of these things that normally we probably wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be able to
Our
do.
voters have been very, very good with how they voted for our county and for the direction that you guys have led.
Yes,
for
our
us.
voters are great. Constituents are great. And, getting involved, that's a good and a bad thing, but getting involved, learning of how the county government operates. And, and I say this in every interview I do or every group of people I talk to, our county is very transparent. So no matter what anyone says, we're very transparent. You should be able to come to our office, the county clerk's office, and at any given time, figure out where your money's going. And I say yours because it's your money, it's my money, it's the taxpayers' money, where your money is being spent. Now, we do sometimes get into that gray area where they think we shouldn't be spending that money here, but that's going to happen. That's democracy, and that's where you elect three people to sit at a table and determine, is this where we should spend our money? And we cannot please everybody. We won't ever be able to please everybody. But if we're doing what's best for this community, then we're doing our job.
Well, Melissa Dennis, you're an example for all of us, some of the nicest people you ever want to meet and smartest people down there at the courthouse, your fellow commissioners, and the elected county officials. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
For being with us.